Yeah. Yes. Good evening, class. I hope you are okay. So, as Sneha ji attended yesterday class, I hope she can continue that. I hope some ideas regarding this class. So, Farli ji, as you didn't attend yesterday I completed between this Delhi Sultanate and Mughals. As we know that Delhi Sultanate is came into end 1526, and that is only we are considering as the beginning of Mughal period. So this 1526 an important period which we are considering two landmarks. 1526. It indicates the end of Lodi Sultanate, I mean the Lodi dynasty or the Delhi Sultanate, and beginning of Mughal era. So this is a landmark, this is a junction, or this is a turning point of two historical importance regarding India. So between this period, Delhi Sultanate, or we can say 1517, 12, 712 to this 1526. What was the South Indian Kingdom? As we know that Delhi Sultanate is related to in and around Delhi only. The Muslims who Muslim invaders or Islam invaders who came to India, they settled down initially in and around Delhi. That's why they were called as the Delhi Sultanate. Hardly one or two kingdom that Malikapur, or we can say that Khilji's, one of the general Malikapur, he migrated for the first time South India, but they unable to establish a strong administration. It was some of the generals of the Delhi Sultanate during the end of Tughlaq dynasty, during the end of Lodi dynasty. They separated from the Delhi Sultanate and they came to the South India and they settled down. Such type of two rulers we read yesterday. I hope Sneha ji can understand better. That was none other than Bahamani Kingdom and Vijayanagar Empire, which was near about 200, 250 years. They completely ruled that South India. So during that time, even we able to see there is a socio-religious change also. When this Islam came to India, they able to bring their religion also, along with that cultural tradition, everything, even religion also. And that religion merged with Indian religion concept. Okay, Sanatana Hinduism or something we can say. Okay, so by that time, we able to get a fusion of religion, as there is a fusion of culture. Similarly, there was a fusion of culture, religion also. But this result of the fusion of the religion led to origin of two faith, or we can say two cult. One is called as the that Muslim people who greatly attracted to Indians. They were followed the some principles of Indian religion also. Okay, the Muslim religion. They believe that is none other than the Sufi cult. Similarly, some of the Hindu, Orthodox Hindu rulers, those who followed the Hindu religion, little bit difficult for following. As a result, some of the Hindus they believer in the Hindu, but they followed the principles of the Islamic, and they were called. They started another cult. That cult, it's not religion at all. That cult is popularly called, or we can say the faith, and that faith was popularly called as the bhakti. Okay, so we can say that two. One is the Sufi, another is the bhakti. That also we read, and some of the non-idol worship, how they simplicity in the life, devotion that can provide them a lot of development. Such type of things we have seen that, right? So that all we completed yesterday. If any doubt, you can yeah contact. Otherwise, it is recorded also. May send to you people. You can watch that. Now today class we are going to discuss. Am I right, Sneha ji? Yesterday class, I hope you have gained all these things. Am I
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is recorded also. May send later on. You people
Yes,
can
sir.
watch and
Today,
you can understand.
along with this class, I will send that
Yeah. Okay,
video
ma'am. Okay,
also.
ma'am. Yeah. So that is, if you watch that class only, this Mughal Empire, you can understand a little bit better. Chalo. Let us go to the Mughal Empire. As I told you, Mughal dynasty, so Islamic culture divided into two parts. Yeah, Yasaswini and Aditi also joined. Welcome to the class. Okay, so today we are going to continue with the Mughals, right? So if you'll see the Mughals, yeah, earlier also gave the introduction. What is that? medieval period in India divided into two parts. Let us clear it. Medieval period divided in India into two parts. One is called as the Delhi Sultanate. Another is called as the Mughal period. So Delhi Sultanate, as we know that we read that that is a Battle of Tarayan, 1191-1192. That was the foundation of Delhi Sultanate. Battle of Tarayan, Prithviraj Chauhan and the Muhammad of Ghori, they fought in that battlefield. Okay, that is none other than that Delhi, nearby Delhi only. Okay, there they fought. As a result, that turned the destiny of India, and Muslims became the rulers. Muslim invaders became the ruler of India. Muhammad Ghori. Then we have seen the Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish. That all. That was continued as the Ilbari dynasty, Khilji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, Saadi dynasty, and the Lodi dynasty. Okay. So now, after the Lodi, last Lodi ruler, he was none other than Ibrahim Lodi. While Ibrahim Lodi became the ruler or the Sultan of the Punjab and Delhi, but he had not much control over his domination. His effort to establish a large centralized empire was a little bit gave threatened by the Afghans. By the time Afghan chiefs were became a little bit more developed, and they kept a good relation with the Rajputs. Okay, Daulat Khan Lodi, almost an independent ruler of the Punjab, was anxious to strengthen his own positive own position by weakening the Ibrahim Lodi. So Lodi little bit he himself responsible class. Okay, so they are he unable to control paramount power. He unable to take all confident of all his loyal people or the generals and all this. So that was one of the weakness of Mr. Ibrahim Lodi. By taking that weakness, we able to see one of the ruler who came from the Kabul. This ruler was one of the greatest from 11 years old. He became the king of the Kabul at the age of 11 years. I'm talking about 11 years. Okay, he became the ruler of the Kabul. Anyhow, he had a great desire and great conqueror. He came to India and he fought with Ibrahim Lodi. Jairuddin Babur, born in 1483. In 1495, at the young age of 11, he succeeded to Kingdom of Fargana. He was the ruler of Fargana, a small state in the Central Asia. He traced his distance or descent from the famous Mongol warriors, Timur, Genghis Khan. They were his descent, we can say. Next, from them, he got a lot of encouragement and he had a good knowledge about India from that time onwards. Anyhow, in 1504, he moved towards Kabul and occupied it. And later on, he tried to migrate toward the Delhi. Okay, India was a fabulous wealth attracted to him, right? So, after strengthening his power in and around northern part of India, Mr. Babur, he came to a lot of development. And first of all, he captured the Daulat Khan Lodi, approached him to invade India. In 1525, within the 3 weeks of crossing Indus, Babur became the master of Punjab. 1525. But he became the master of Delhi in 1526. First Battle of Panipat. I'm not repeating a single sentence. Easy in these are. I hope you can understand, not that much of difficult, right? So first Battle of Panipat, 1526. It was fought between Babur's army and Ibrahim Lodi. For your kind information, this was fought in the Panipat, which is near about 100-120 kilometer in and around Delhi. An important battlefield, historical importance. This Panipat is also called as the Kurukshetra. During the Mahabharata period, that Mahabharata war, that battle of the Mahabharata, okay, that also held in this Kurukshetra. That Kurukshetra only called as the Panipat, right? This battle, if you'll see, in this Panipat, even the Tarayan I told you, no, who is that Muhammad of Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan, Battle of Tarayan, 1191 and 92. That battle also fought here in this Kurukshetra. Okay, names are a little bit different, but field or the area is the same, right? So this Muhammad of Babar, Chagatai-i-Babar, Jahiruddin Chagatai-i-Babar, bigger name. Anyhow, shortcut you can remember as a Babar. When he came to India, Mr. Ibrahim Lodi, he had a bigger army, a large amount of army, but unfortunately, they were not that much of trained, or Babar had a new technique of the war by that time. Okay, he had a good gun powers, or the gunners he used. Anyhow, that detail we are not discussing. Anyhow, there was a war between Babar and Ibrahim Lodi, and Ibrahim Lodi finally defeated. That led to establishment of Babar in the Delhi. That is the first battle. Babar, for the frank, if you say to the frank, 1526 to 1530, he stayed in India. Nothing he did. Only thing he did was none other than establishment of Mughal dynasty. He fought 4 wars: 1526, Battle of Panipat; 1527, 28, that was none other than the Battle of Khanwa and Chanderi. Another small fort was Chausa. These are the 4 things he did. Please remember, one is Panipat, second one is a Khanwa, third one is a Chanderi, fourth one is a small fort, one of the important forts, that was the Chausa. After that, 1530, he died. But these 4 battles are the 4 years, one of the greatest landmark in India for the establishment of Mughal dynasty in India. Anyhow, Panipat we understood. Let us see the Khanwa and Chanderi. 1526, Babur had faced the powerful Rajput army. This is very important. Okay, with whom he fought Panipat, with whom he fought Khanwa. These are the objective class. Okay. While he was Rana Sangh was the Mewar ruler at Khanwa, Mewar ruler Rana Sangh. Babur and Rana Sangh might have a hope that Babur would soon withdraw from India after that Battle of Panipat, but this proved wrong, and he went against Rana Sangh. Rana Sangh defeated. Then that Rajput area came under the control of Babur. Similarly, another one is none other than the Chausa or Chanderi and Chausa. Chanderi, if you see, Chanderi was held by Medini Rao. That was, he migrated in 1528. Khanwa, 1527. I hope you have noted down who was the ruler of the Khanwa. Khanwa, in fact, it was a Rajput army under the control of Rana Sangh. And he invited to India. Rana Sangh might felt that Babur may go back, but it didn't happen. He defeated Rana Sangh, and that Khanwa became under the control of Babur. Now, Chanderi. Chanderi, another area ruled by Medini Rao. He defeated by the Afghan king Bengal. And similarly, that was in the year 1528, right? And 1529, another small Ghagra in the Bengal, king of Bengal, Afghan and the kings of Bengal, they met at a Ghagra. So we can say Ghagra, that was 1528, Ghagra, Battle of Ghagra. Ghagra. Okay. Ghagra is also tributary of Tista and Ghagra. These are the 2 tributary of river Ganga, right? So nearby that, Babur went up to Bihar. So Delhi too, he expanded up to Rajasthan, western part, and eastern part. Up to Ghagra means the tributary of river Ganga, means near present Bihar. These are all areas now under the control of Babur. No one expected that, children. Okay, that Babur will come and he will try to establish the Mughal dynasty. That was the great landmark, right? Everyone thought that is like the other invaders, Babur may come and go back with the booties, or that is none other than by exploiting the money and all this, but didn't happen that. Babur stayed back in India and he continued for ruling India. That was a great thing. While after completing these 3, I hope you understood. One is the Panipat, 1526. Second one is the Khanwa, 1527. Third one is the Chanderi, 1528. and Ghagra, 1529. By 1530, Babur became the master of Punjab, Delhi, Ganga plains of up to Bihar, right? So this was the greatest contribution of Babur and the landmark and greatest changing in the administration, and that change was none other than establishment of Mughal dynasty in India. Next, shortly after these all were, while he was trying to move towards Kabul, but unfortunately in 1533, he lost his life and he died, we can say. Okay. So that was Babur. He was a great warrior. Another most important, we are not discussing all detail, only objective point of view we are discussing. Okay. So along with a great warrior, Babur also a great writer himself. He was art, architecture, okay, literature. Literature, if you see, of course, in India, Babur had no contribution to the art and architecture because he only fought 4 wars. I hope you know that. And if you see the literature, from literature point of view, Babur has written one book, his own book that was called as Tajik-e-Babri, which is also called as Tujak-e-Babri or Tajki-e-Babri. Tujak-e-Babri, that was an autobiography written by himself, which was one of the greatest contribution to the history to know the great incidents. Okay, Tujak-e-Babri, that was the autobiography. I hope you know that what is autobiography, right? So this is more detail we are not going. After the Babur, he established the Mughal dynasty. So sometime you may get who was the founder of dynasty or empire in India. Definitely he was none other than Babur. The credit goes to Babur, right? Tuzaki-Babri also one of the important. Sometimes they're asking, please note down and try to remember. After the Babur, his son, uh, another interesting thing is that this Mughal dynasty, most of the rulers, they had 4 children, 4 sons. Interesting thing, up to Jahangir will get like that. Okay. And Babur had also 4 sons. They are none other than the Humayun, Kumaran, Hindal, Askari. After the death of Babur, Humayun became he succeeded to his vast empire, extending from the Bihar to Central Asia, up to Kabul. From Bihar, Gangetic plain of Bihar in India to Kabul, Central Asia. Okay. Um, Babur unfortunately had no time to consolidate his vast empire in India. As we know, he died in 1530. But he gave some suggestion to Humayun. Humayun's task was not that easy. When he came to the power, it was not better for this for Humayun, as we know that new empire, new culture, Humayun had to struggle a lot. And another thing, Babur gave suggestion to give proper justice to his brother. So Humayun followed that. He also considered his brother equivalent to him. Humayun provided one Jagirdari to his brothers, but unfortunately they betrayed Humayun. As a result, Humayun had to face a lot of problem in future. What are the problem? The problem was none other than while Humayun was ruling, by the time he faced one Afghan ruler in India, he was none other than Sher Shah Suri. I hope you might have heard the name Sher Shah. He was one general of a Afghan and he gave a great threat to Humayun. Let us know about Humayun, right? Yeah. When Humayun, most problem of the Humayun was none other than the Afghans and the Rajput rulers. They considered Mughal to be the foreigners and wanted to driven out these Mughals from India. That's why they gave a great threat to Humayun, number one. Number two, he had, as I told you, that 3 brothers, Kumaran, Hindal, and Askari. Babur had 4 children, Humayun, Kamran, Hindal, Askari. So Humayun became the ruler. On his death, Babur advised Humayun to treat his brothers generously and never forget his father's advice. Mr. Humayun did not forget that. As a result, he was a little bit loyal towards his brothers. But unfortunately, his brothers were betrayed. For example, if you'll see, this was none other than Kandahar. Kumarun, yeah, younger brother of Humayun, he captured the Kandahar and he declared himself as a independent ruler. He occupied Lahore and Multan also. These are some of the setback of Humayun, and the most important are the threatening of Humayun, from whom he was none other than Bahadur Shah of Gujarat, a powerful ruler. He also gave a threatening to Humayun, Bahadur Shah Jafar. Okay. Apart from that, I hope you're understanding. There is nothing difficult. Simply we are reading. Okay. I hope you're understanding, right? Next, Humayun's he fought with different wars, but the most important in Bihar, Sher Shah Suri. Okay, try to understand. Sher Shah Suri, the most capable Afghan ruler, or we can say one of the chieftain of Afghan, Sher Shah Suri, was determined to challenge Humayun's authority. There was a war between the Sher Shah Suri and Humayun in 1532. Please note down. As a result, Humayun defeated in the hands of Sher Shah at Chunar. The place was Chunar. Then Sher Shah became the ruler of Delhi for few years. 1535, during Humayun's absence from Agra, Sher Shah became the ruler of Delhi. Okay, 1535. But unfortunately, this Sher Shah, we had a great contribution for the Sher Shah. He was for a short period, he became the ruler. Sher Shah, when he came to power, Humayun lost his kingdom. He became the prince without any kingdom. Unfortunate to the Humayun. Try to understand. He became the king without any kingdom. He moved here and there for his survival. Finally, while he was going towards Kabul, at a place he took the shelter at Amarkot. And while he was in Amarkot, his wife, Hamida Banu Begum, she gave a birth to Jalaluddin Akbar. Try to remember, this is one important. Anyhow, this is a downfall, shortcoming of Humayun, as we know. We have to concentrate little bit Sher Shah also. Children, because Sher Shah, he was an Afghan, he frequently gave threatening to Humayun, and he became the ruler 1540 to 1545. India able to see a drastic change under the Sher Shah Suri. Though he was a 5 years ruler of Delhi, but he was a great master. He was a great ruler. A lot of development we able to see during his administration. Most of the rules and regulation followed by Akbar. What are the rules and regulation implemented by Sher Shah? Those all rules were copied by Akbar. So I hope you know that what is the meaning of Sher Shah. He was a Afghan Jagirdar's son, Junapur, in and around Gujarat. He managed his father's Jagirdar. Jagirdari means one small land, owner of the small land efficiently, and later on joined the service of his ruler, Bihar. The title Sher Khan was given to him because of he was so strong that it is historically we can't say, but it is recorded that he had the ability to kill the tiger with single-handed. That's why the title was given Sher Shah. Okay, he ruled India 1540 to 1545. A lot of development we able to see under his empire. The Grand Trunk Road, most important, was none other than at present also, that is under the Sher Shah Marg or Sher Shah Suri Marg is given. Grand Trunk Road, number of gardens, and all these things. Anyhow, that is not important from the bit point of view. In 1545, when he was going towards capture one, Kalinjar Fort. Unfortunately, he died in the Kalinjar Fort. Efficient administrator, great ruler, brilliant career, but unfortunately, at a place called Kalinger, he was killed in an explosion of gunpowder. Okay, so that was little bit 5 years we unable to get the Mughal Empire. Once again, after his death, Humayun became the ruler, and yeah, most important, Sher Shah Suri, if you'll see, this point is very important. Uh, he introduced new coins in India. Very, very important. Okay. So many contribution, but we cannot see all the contribution. But most important contribution was none other than new coins. Sher Shah Suri or the Sher Shah issued number of new coins in India. And that was called as Rupiah. Rupia. Rupiah. Now we are using that one from that Sher Shah Suri's time. Rupee we used to use, but now it is called as a rupiah. That was Sher Shah's contribution. It was well executed and remained as a standard of coin for a centuries. Okay, next he had good trade, commerce, transport, communication, right? So many development he did. I don't think that these all are helpful for the objective point of view. Okay. Next, after the Sher Shah, if you'll see, India once again migrated to Mughal Empire. But in the meantime, there are some changes we have to see. During this period, particularly 14, during this period, we able to come in contact with Europeans during this period in and around, because 1526, we know that. Okay, in and around 1498, nearby 1498, we able to see the migration of Vasco da Gama, okay, to the India. Vasco da Gama of Portugal, he came and he settled down in the, he found the different sea route to India and able to settle down in the south part of India, followed by Dutch, Portuguese. Dutch also they followed by following Portuguese Vasco da Gama. Similarly, we able to see the trade relation with India with the Europe. That relation also you have to keep it in mind. And most important is none other than Calicut, right? So these are the early religion, no, political establishment of Mughal Empire in India. Babur, Humayun, between Babur and Humayun, a short period for Sher Shah Suri. And during that time, how we came in contact with the yeah, European migrants. Okay. Even during that time, there was a lot of discovery we able to see. Magellan tried to reach India via South America. He discovered the pages to Pacific, which was later on known as the Strait of Magellan. That also happened in and around this period only, 1520, 1519, during that period. So this Mughal period is also early Mughal period. Babur and Humayun period is also one of the important landmark for Indian history. I hope these things you can remember. Next, regarding the Humayun, as he came back once again after the death, 1555 until 1555, he ruled. After his death, as we know, the Akbar, the greatest contribution of Akbar. Now we have to migrate towards Akbar. But here, one of the important thing you have to remember, class, that is related to Humayun. Humayun also one of the great wise ruler. As like his father, he had a lot of knowledge and all this. Humayun Nama, the book, different people they have written that, okay, Humayun was a learned man and love for the scholars. An account of his life in detail was written by his sister Gulbadan. Be careful, very important. This objective somewhere I read also. I mean, I came in contact while I was writing some exam. Yeah, be careful. Please note down, children. Humayun, who had uh, one book, his book Humayun Nama, and that Humayun Nama was written by his sister Gulbadan, a writer and a poet of renowned, diligent reading. It shows that Muslim ladies in royal family had also this indicate that how they had a great contribution for literature. Please note down this name. Gulbadan was a sister of Humayun, who had written the book called Humayun Nama. Okay, biography of Humayun. So many historical evidence of that period we able to get from this, right? Next, so many things we cover, I think. Next, we are going to migrate about, Akbar the Great. Up to 1555, Humayun rule. 1555, 1556 in and around 1556 to 1605, another great landmark and most important objectives we can get. As we are reading for objective point of view, this particular Mughal period had a great contribution for Indian art, architecture, culture, right? So many, especially separately, we have to discuss the Mughal architecture, another unit we have to read separately. So many contribution. Anyhow, let us know a little bit life skills and briefly about Akbar. I hope you are understanding, right? Chalo. Akbar, without wasting time. Our problem is that subject is a little bit lengthy and completely dry. We have to make active and we have to alive and we have to read. Chalo, let us see Akbar. If you'll see Akbar, the period of Akbar once you mention or note down 1556 to 1605. So many development we have to note down. Please get ready with points. When Humayun died, Akbar was in Kalanur in Punjab. Please note down. Kalanur, K-A-L-A-N-A-U-R. That Kalanur is in Punjab. He was crowned there in 1556, right? Immediate after death, he was declared as the king while he was in the Kalanur. A simple ceremony at the young age of 13 years and 4 months. By that time, he became the emperor of India. By that time, he was declared. Okay. Anyhow, he succeeded a very difficult situation. His position was very insecure because as we know that Afghans were there, then Europeans were migrated. Okay, so many things were there. Instead of that all challenges, he able to control a strong paramount empire in India. However, Bairam Khan, one of the tutor and the guardian of this prince Akbar, had a loyal and devotee officer of Humayun who rose to this occasion. So Akbar was greatly guided by Bairam Khan. Please note down that name also, very, very important, right? And during Akbar's period, we able to see so many wars and art and architecture. And first battle of Panipat we have seen 1526. Now, during Akbar's period, we able to see second battle of Panipat, 1556. There are three battles of Panipat, and these three battles of Panipat are very important. Objective point of view, historical point of view. Okay, several exams they are giving about the second battle and the third battle of Panipat or the first battle of Panipat. That's why please note down that 1 minute is left over. Anyhow, uh, second battle of Panipat, 1556. Please note down. Akbar's immediate task after coming to the power or coronation, he defeated Himu, the Wazir of General of Muhammad Adil Shah Sur, a successor of Sher Shah Sur. As we know that Sher Shah, we read that 5 years master of India, who had a great contribution to the Indian history. His Wazir or General Muhammad Adil Shah Sur. Okay, Himu captured Agra and occupied the city of Delhi, and his counselors advised retreat Kabul, but Bairam Khan was not in mood to accept it. Bairam Khan marched on Delhi. Before Himu could consolidate his...
Shall we join again, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Dear
Only
students,
few seconds left over, I think.
yeah,